Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Elite City Podcast. Before we get started here, I just want to remind everybody we are at Elite City Pod on all social media, especially Blue Sky now. Blue Sky is popping off, and we're over there among all the other places too. But
yeah, we're not abandoning any other place. But
no,
Blue Sky's been pretty hot the last couple days, so it's been fun.
And, you know, with that being said, we also want to just throw it out there. We have a lot of new subscribers and followers. Elite City always has been and always will be a safe place for anybody. Any and all are welcome. The more the merrier. We build bridges. We don't build walls. So, you know, everybody is welcome. Come, have fun, interact. And that's never going to change.
Yeah. Just be like cool and fun and nice to each other, and we're all have a good time.
Absolutely. And as far as last week, there was no episode last week. My stepfather had to get back surgery, so I was on duty to take him and my mom all around for a couple days. So everything's fine. We're
just
back.
Hanging out, being back surgery bros.
Being back surgery bros, yeah. Literally, I was like answering questions while the doctor was in the room, and he was like, how do you know all this? I was like, yeah, I've been there 17 years, buddy. He was like, oh, yeah, unfortunately it happened to me a lot younger. But yeah, that's where we were last week. So we're back to a normal schedule. So we do have some questions that need answering from Blue Sky, actually.
Yeah, there's one Threads and a couple Blue Sky. So social media has been fun the last little while. There was a dark period for social media, but now it seems to be everyone kind of just like, hey, let's try to be normal and cool, and that's fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll start with the order that you sent them to me in. So we have the first question. It's a two-parter, so we'll give you the first one. Who do you think will be in and win the C2 this year?
That's a tough one. I think it's going to be Okada who wins
again.
Yeah, I really liked that promo. It wasn't last week. I think it was the week before, maybe. I don't remember when it was. They did a video package of Okada, like calling him like the best tournament wrestler in wrestling and stuff like that. That made him look like really cool, and I think he needed that because he's been like, it's been funny, but he's been like kind of comedy Okada since he got to AEW, and that kind of reestablished him as like, oh yeah, this guy's, you know, jokes around, but he's a serious threat and he's a serious wrestler, and that was really cool. And I think that they're going to reinforce that by having him win it and just go through the whole tournament, keep the title. I think that's what they'll do.
That's awesome. I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I have, just because it's my favorite thing going on right now, I think either Bobby Lashley or Shelton Benjamin is going to win it. But
that would be fun. Shelton Benjamin is a good choice.
He is. But that's the fan in me. Like, I don't want to give them the keys to the castle quite yet. Now, if they didn't just sign, where'd it go? I lost it. Oh, I was say Sammy. Sammy's my dark horse for the C2.
Yeah. All right. My dark horse is Hook. I think Hook.
Okay.
Hook could do it, yeah. I love the C2. It's gonna be so fun.
Oh, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And we're gonna have people like I could see somebody like Sammy being put in it to surprise people, like Garcia last year.
Yeah.
You know, like he didn't win it, and he ended up only winning one match, correct?
Yeah, but they had a good story going in there of how he just really wanted to win one match, and then he finally did. Like, that was a great story. Like, they told some really good stories through the C2 last year.
Yeah, and I think I'm very excited for this tournament. Now the second half of that question is, do you think that AEW needs more women's matches? And I mean, of course, I think we do, but either on the pre-shows or on the main card, like put them anywhere. I don't care.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious they do.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow up with a question for you that's related to this. What do you think of Mariah May? Her run is not her, like, her in-ring skills, obviously, but like, what do you think of her run as women's champion?
I think it's awesome. I was just thinking about this actually during Dynamite this past week. It's kind of the I mean, obviously from where it went, it's like the anti-Tony Storm angle. It's all about like, I don't want to say it's like all about her, but it's like how great, like she's all about herself. There, it's like she's just conceited and she's typical heel. Doesn't wrestle all the time, and Tony was defending the belt, and
I kind of wish she was defending the belt a little bit more. I know she has a lot on Collision. I kind of wish that she was on, like she has hardly been on Dynamite, and
that
I
is true.
Would like to see her on there a little bit more. Like in general, the women's division, like the women need to be on Dynamite a lot more. Like Collision's a great show, but it's like Dynamite's obviously the A show.
Yeah. And like I mean, we talked about it on here before. I quit watching Rampage, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But it seems to be like Collision Junior.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I haven't really watched Rampage, but I've heard it's been good. I just haven't watched it.
Same.
And I'll watch Collision like partially. Like I have watched Collision, but I don't watch it Saturday nights like live. I'll watch parts of it like later on. But I like they've had some good women's matches. Like there's been a lot of like Sheeta's been on Rampage, I think, or she will be on Rampage this week.
Yeah.
But they need to put some of that on Wednesdays. I know they have a huge roster. I know there's a lot going on. Like there's never anything other than the Jericho bits that are on Dynamite that I'm like, oh, I wish this wasn't on the show. Like this didn't need to be here. So I understand that it's hard to cut, but they need to put some more women's stuff on shows. Like Full Gear, is there like there's the Mercedes match and Mercedes and Chris, but that's the only one right now.
So far, I believe, yes.
Yeah, there does need to, like, Mariah needs to be doing something.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm surprised she's facing Anna Jay on like a Collision episode and not pay-per-view.
True, and Anna Jay even won the Eliminator. So
yeah, I'm surprised they're not doing that on Full Gear.
Right. Off subject. What has been your kind of on subject, I guess. What has been your opinion of Anna Jay since she's come back from Japan?
She's been a lot better. Like I've always liked Anna Jay. I thought she's a good wrestler. She's a good wrestler. She has a good personality. Like she's good in the ring, but she has a bit more. I don't know how to say it properly. She has a bit more like presence to her now than she did before.
That's a good word. I'll agree with that. There's more. It looks easier to her now. Like I don't want to say she looked like she was trying before because she didn't. Like it didn't look forced or anything, but she looks way more natural and she does have an aura or a presence. Good. That's good call.
And it's like unnatural. I thought, and I feel bad ragging on her, but like this week's Dynamite, Britt felt very unnatural to me.
Would you say Britt?
Britt Baker, yeah.
Yeah, don't even get me started. She looked lost, and her finisher still, I hate it. I mean, I hated it when she was champion. It's dumb. Sorry.
But she did look lost.
Yeah.
Right? Like she was looking for the camera a lot. You could tell.
Yeah.
Like she was like, I don't know what happened. I like Britt. I think like she must be going through something because she's like not, what's the word I'm looking for? She's
not like
she's regressed sort of as a wrestler.
Yeah.
In the last little while. And I don't, maybe it's health issues or something, but.
Hey, I mean, everybody says, the internet says that the breakup between her and Adam was amicable. Maybe it wasn't. We don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she's going through that. Maybe she regrets it. If it was, if she was the one, I don't know if she was the one that broke up with him. But if she was the one that ended it, maybe there's some regret in there. Like something
whatever
is up.
It was. Something is up for sure. Yeah.
100% something is up.
Yeah. And I don't know. I like her. I hope that she gets better.
Same.
Back into what she was doing before. But like there does need to be overall like that. They had one match this week on Dynamite. They had one match last week on Dynamite. And like they're not even super lengthy matches. They're like 10 minutes, which is fine. Like it's a reasonable match.
Mm-hmm.
But like people like Thunder Rosa, people like Sheeta, people like Queen Aminata, like they could be on Dynamite regularly.
Yeah, I agree. And it's, I mean, we've been complaining about it for a while, but I think it's going to be TK seems to listen to the fans.
They did get better for a while. For a while, they were doing more, and then they kind of scaled it back again.
And that, like, don't get me wrong, the women have their segments, but it's like we always say, it's always around that 9:20. There'll be the match and either the promo or like it is kind of always just squished together.
Yeah, they do need to do, like, I don't know the solution, because like I said, like there is a lot going on, right?
Right.
Like, it's hard to cut anything. It's hard to fit stuff on Dynamite because there's so much going on. And like I liked Dynamite. I really liked this week's episode, by the way.
It was very good.
So yeah, there's nothing that I really would cut from that episode. So I can get how it's hard, but like take 2 minutes off of 3 different matches, and there's 6 minutes. You could do something with that.
100%. Moving on to the next question. Everybody knows that TK books for like the crazy fans, the underground fans,
the sickos, as he calls them.
The sickos, as they're called.
Yes.
And that, I mean, it transitions well, but it transitions well to a certain group on TV. The question is, do you think that maybe TV executives will not necessarily step in, but like suggest, hey, maybe put some people that are a little more known on TV, or maybe start longer storylines instead of just throwing like, hey, we need a really good match. Okay, book Okada and Eddie real quick. Just throw it on TV.
I don't think the TV executives necessarily will, because I mean the ratings aren't great. They're fine. They're fine, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that much about TV, but they seem fine. They're not amazing. They're worse than they were, but I don't know what's that attribute. That's for people who make money to do that, to figure out.
Right.
So I don't think the TV executives will step in, because they did just re-up them for a bunch of money, so they seem to be pretty happy. I think what the potential problem is attendance-wise. Like if you look at their attendance, AEW's attendance is not great. Like they get 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people a show, which is really good for a wrestling company. But they were getting 10,000 a show, a couple of years ago. So obviously they were the hot new thing then, and WWE was doing worse, so they were doing better. And the economy's been not great, and I get it. Like there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. It's not just the stuff that happens on the shows. But I think that's part of the problem. Is they've done a better job the last couple of weeks telling you, oh, next week on Dynamite you're going to see this match. 2 weeks from now on Dynamite you're going to see this match. That's been really good, because there was a problem, a year, 6 months ago, 5 months ago, that like you didn't know what you were going to see when you got, who was going to be there, what matches you were going to see. Like you just bought a ticket and you had no clue.
Yeah, I hate to use the term, it was like going to like a big indie show, but it kind of was. Like, of course you were going to have like your Mox was going to be there at some point. You were going to see Jericho, but the rest of the card could have been unknown until it was posted online at 5:00.
Yeah, like the day before. Con would like put some stuff online and be like, these are the matches. Like and that's hard to sell tickets for. Like there are diehard, like the quote unquote sickos will always buy, if Dynamite comes to your town, like Dynamite comes to Toronto, I will buy a ticket for Dynamite, because I will. But so I don't really particularly care who's going to be on the show. But there are a lot of people who maybe aren't diehards, but like, oh, I really like Will Ospreay, and if he's going to be there, then I'll go. Or I really like Mercedes Moné. If she's going to be there, I'll go. And if you don't know they're going to be there, then you're just not going to buy tickets, because you're like, oh, who am I going to see? I don't know half these people. When they talk about, booking for the hardcore audience, I don't think it's a style of wrestling necessarily. Like, because wrestling in a whole has gotten better. Like all wrestling matches are better now than they were whenever, years ago.
Totally.
You can watch a TNA show or a WWE show, and like the wrestling is all good. They're all talented wrestlers. They're all very good at what they do. When I think Tony Khan has a bit of a problem sometimes is we're going to book this guy from Mexico or Japan or from the Indies to go up against this mid-card wrestler in AEW. And if you've been following both of those people's careers for the last 5 years, you know that this is a big match.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, you don't know.
Yeah, like that. I mean, that's where I give AEW credit. I also agree with you, it being a detriment. Like, it's awesome for, Joe Schmo to be wrestling in front of 5,000 people in his hometown, he's going to lose, and it's on TV. But like, that's kind of where it ends. Like, imagine, oh, look, wrestling's on. Oh, it's Bill Smith versus Joe Smith. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these aren't people I know.
I mean, in one sense, it's cool because it does reward you for being a hardcore fan. I followed this guy in the indies and now he gets to be on TV. Like, that's really cool for someone who's in that position, who's followed all these people and knows, this person from Mexico or this person from Japan. Like, that's really cool. If like, oh, they had a match 6 years ago and it was awesome. And now I'm happy they're having, like, that is really cool for those fans who do that. But I think the number of fans who do that is pretty small.
Yeah.
And you could do it sometimes, but you have to do it sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah. Like, you do. I don't want to say you need to water it down. You don't need to water it down, but you need a bigger net to cast out.
Yeah. Or at least book it, 2 or 3 weeks in advance and let them build it up on TV a little bit so that even if you don't know who these people are, or you've only seen them on YouTube, that now you're a bit more invested because, they booked this match for 2 weeks from now and I didn't know who these people were, but they just cut a really good promo or they just showed a really cool highlight package or something.
Yeah, like, let him know that, this dude's from New York and, he's first time on TV. Like, this is going to be really cool.
Yeah, or Swerve had a match with this guy 10 years ago and this guy helped train him and now he's whatever. Like, do that. That's cool. Like, I like that. And I like that it is different from WWE. Like, it should be. Like, you should see people you don't see in WWE and AEW, but just presented a little differently.
And I mean, you have to think too, you just hit the nail on the head right there. It's not WWE, and WWE has wrote the book on TV wrestling for literally a generation. So AEW, in a sense, is, writing this, chapter in that book of how things are supposed to work, because people from other companies aren't supposed to be in your company according to WWE. You know what I mean? Like,
it does remind me of this is an old reference because we're old people,
100%.
But it does remind me of like music in the early 90s when like Nirvana or Pearl Jam came out and you were like, wait a second, these guys there's like 3 of them and they just play guitars and like kind of yell. And where's their whole band? Where's like the production? Where's like the whatever? Like, you're expecting different. Like, that wasn't what rock music was at the time.
Yeah.
And they kind of had to tell you that it's different. And this is why they're doing something different. And there was a bunch of people who were like, this is just noise. I hate it. I don't want to hear this. And you can't just show up and act completely differently from the way the industry's acted for 20 years and expect everyone to immediately get it and immediately understand and immediately love it. You kind of do have to, teach them. You kind of have to show them, no, it's okay to have people from other companies. This guy's from, CMLL, and this is why he's really cool. And this is why this match against this guy from New Japan really matters. Like, I hate to be one of those people who's like, why is there no video packages? Because we all have Google. You can look it up.
100%.
But like, half the audience will look it up and half the audience will be like, I don't know who this guy is, and not care.
And or even if you're like, I have been to an AEW show live and missed the person's name, and I knew that Dante Martin was wrestling somebody, but I couldn't look up the person's name till I came home and watched. You know what I mean? Right. So like, there could be that too. Like, if you are there and you're like, oh, it was a really great show. I was there to see Dark Order, but I had to watch, the Steel City Hooligan before Dark Order, and it was terrible. Like, I
mean, I do like what they're doing now. Like, they're having a episode of Collision, I think, from like a Comic-Con type event in Columbus, I think. That sounds pretty fun. That's awesome. It was supposed to be in like Nationwide Arena, like the Columbus Blue Jackets Arena, but apparently there's some big college football game that day. So they were like, oh, no one's going to come basically to our event that's running the same time as a college football game. So they're having it at like some fan convention, and like, I don't know how much, probably doesn't cost much to get in once you're already in the fan convention.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. And I like that they're doing a show from the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York. Like, that's a cool venue. WWE recently had NXT at ECW Arena. I was surprised. I'm actually kind of shocked that Tony Khan hasn't done a show from there.
Agreed. Like, just because he loved ECW.
Yeah. he's such a big ECW guy. I'm surprised that he hasn't. Like, that's what you can do when your attendance is admittedly not great, especially for Collision. Like, Dynamite always does reasonably well, but Collision doesn't always do great. And that's what you can do when Collision tickets aren't selling that well. Go to a cool arena, and maybe people like, you'll buy tickets for that Hammerstein Ballroom show just because you want to see AEW in that building. You don't actually care who's on that show, right? You just want to go.
I considered going.
Yeah,
like literally.
So that's something they can do to like book for like a more mainstream, not a mainstream audience, because wrestling is never going to be super mainstream,
right?
Like it was in like the 80s where everyone knew who Hulk Hogan was, but mainstream in the sense that all wrestling fans will want to know. Like WWE fans will want to, like, they know what the Hammerstein Ballroom is. ECW fans know what that is. WCW fan, like everybody who's watched wrestling in the last 20 years, 30 years knows about that building. So do stuff like that. That's fun. And I'm getting off topic now, but
you're good. Well, we're going to the last question. Last question is a simple one. It says, haven't watched AEW in months. Give me a reason to jump back in.
I get that point. I understand that point because, like, I've talked to you guys offline about how sometimes I just don't feel like watching wrestling. Like, I just don't. And I don't even know if it's AEW's fault or just I'm busy or my mood or whatever. Like, there's weeks that like the last couple of weeks I've loved it and been super excited for it. So my reasoning to get someone to watch is the Hurt Syndicate because they're really cool.
Same. It's the coolest thing going on right now. It has people that like if you paid attention to WWE in the past literally 20 years, you've seen Bobby Lashley, you've seen MVP. If you're an old head from Ring of Honor, Shelton Benjamin. The Hurt Business was was that also in TNA or was it just WWE? I know they were together.
It was just
in
TNA. They were in TNA, but like the Hurt Business stable was
just WWE. Okay,
it was like they put it together during the pandemic times when like people weren't there, so they needed something to do.
Okay,
so they were just like, okay, let's give them a stable, and they did, and it was like crowd time, so it was hard. It's always hard to get over when there's no crowds. But they kind of got over in a weird situation just by being like badasses.
Yeah. That's what I was just going to say. The Hurt Syndicate, it's just fun. We'll get there in more detail in a little bit, but that would be my go-to. Either that or we'll segue into if Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, this promo that they had this week on Dynamite. And first, this match is going to be off the charts, we know, but this promo was for people that the internet told us weren't good on the mic. Man, they destroyed.
I loved it, but I want to talk about it a bunch, but Will Ospreay himself is just a reason to watch AEW. Like Will Ospreay is like you if you've ever seen any wrestling, like obviously if you're someone who wants to get back into AEW, you've seen wrestling before. Right. If you've ever seen any wrestling, Will Ospreay is nuts. And like just watch a Will Ospreay match. He's going to do stuff that will make you want to pay attention because that's what he does.
Yeah. Like just last week, my buddy, he grew up watching wrestling with me. So old head 90s WWE, CW, it's all we watch, Attitude Era. And he's out of the game. And I sent him it was a YouTube thing. It was like 5 minutes, like the best of Ospreay, like, I don't know, like 2023 or something. And he was like, I don't know why you sent me this, but oh my God, if that's what wrestling is, why am I not watching it?
Yeah. Like Ospreay is like what Ryan said a couple weeks ago when he was on the podcast with us, like the athleticism with him is like, you don't have to even care about wrestling to know the stuff that he's doing is hard to do. And impressive.
Yeah.
And he just has like an energy. He has a care. Like he's good on the mic. He is. Yeah. But it's not even just his mic skills. It just, he has an energy when he shows, like when you're in was he at the Dynamite that you were at? I forget.
Yeah. It was him versus Ricochet.
Oh yeah, of course. Like when his music hits and he comes out, there's just like energy. Yeah. You're excited. Like he's excited. He looks pumped up. Everybody gets like into it. It's just, Him and the Hurt Syndicate are reasons why I watch AEW right now for sure.
Well, like I mean, believe it or not, I'm very low energy even when I'm like at a show. I just want to sit and like pay as much attention as possible. But when the Osprey part, I stand up and yell at the top of my lungs.
Yeah. But yeah, that promo was incredible. I loved it. That was my favorite thing on the show.
Yeah. Now Fletcher challenges Osprey for Full Gear. I thought that was cool how they kind of flipped the script, how you thought, you know, Osprey was going to like kind of like not challenge him, but force his hand.
Right.
And it never even got to that where he was just like, no, Will, like, I'm here to challenge you, dude. And I thought that was cool.
I thought what was really cool was he said, oh, everybody always compared me to Will Ospreay, and then I want to be better than Will Ospreay. And then Will Ospreay correctly countered back with, wait a second, I thought 2 weeks ago you were telling everybody you weren't Will Ospreay. Like, I thought it was great because, first of all, it called back to something they did a couple weeks ago, which is smart. But also it shows that Kyle Fletcher, like, he's kind of just full of himself and he's just making up reasons for why he wants to fight Will Ospreay. He really just wants the attention. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so he's coming up with a reason. And Will Ospreay realized this. Like, you're the dumb thing about wrestling, and it's not just WWE, it's AEW too, is faces always look like idiots. Like faces generally look stupid all the time, right? Like, you get to pick a stipulation. You're like, I'm going to pick the one where your guys can interfere. Like, faces are dumb. They just are. Right?
That is very true.
So I love that Will Ospreay didn't look like an idiot here. He was just like, wait. No, you said something else last week. Like, he correctly called him out on his stuff. Like, it was, and then it made you care. Like, it made you feel like, oh, Kyle Fletcher really wants to win this match. And it made you care about that. It made you care about, you know, Will Ospreay being like, oh, you know, you're with Don Callis now, and I know he's a bad guy. And then now, like, you know so much about me. You know where I live. You know where my kid. You know where my kid goes to school. Like, I can't have you hanging out with these guys, knowing all this much about me. That's dangerous for me. It was so good.
It was. Now, the other part that I thought was like super cool because it was so anti-wrestling is like whenever Fletcher's cavalry arrived and Ospreay was like, oh, of course you have people. And like, you thought he was going to be like, oh, to beat, you know, and they were going to jump him. And he's like, no, I have people too.
Again, he didn't look like an idiot.
Yeah.
like he looked like someone who'd seen wrestling before.
Right.
and remembered what it's like.
Yeah. Like, oh, wait a minute. They're going to have someone come down. So I should be prepared.
Yeah. It was so good. And like, I don't want to take shots too much, but like, this is a feud that's about something. It's about their personal ambitions. It's about their personal history. It's about like an issue between the two of them. And I love that because so often AEW feuds are about either I'm the best wrestler, which is fine. Like, some feuds can be about I'm the best wrestler. That's fine. That's a legitimate reason to have a match. And then all the other feuds are I represent AEW better than you do. And I can't stand it. I don't want any more of those. Like, don't do it anymore. Don't do it for like a year or two. You've done it 10 times. Stop doing it. Yeah. I don't want to see it anymore. It's a boring reason to have a feud. This is a good reason to have a feud. This is like a personal issue between two guys, and they both have reasons for wanting the match, and they both have reasons for wanting to beat the other person. And it was my favorite thing on the show. As soon as that promo ended, I was just like, I was sold on Full Gear. Like, I want to watch it. It was great.
Now, a quick question for you. Do you think Hobbs and Mark Davis are going to be a new tag team?
Oh, that'd be fun.
I know. Like that. And it keeps them invested in the, you know, they could kind of be maybe reform United Empire. That gets Hobbs on TV.
That would be fun. Yeah.
And it would put like Mark Davis is a good vet. Like, I don't want to say Hobbs could be the new Kyle Fletcher because, I mean, he's older than Kyle Fletcher, but like, you know, give him the vet, you know, have him. I don't want to say Hobbs has never had anybody teach him because he has, but like, he's never been like with a vet. Like, when he was with Team Taz, there were 3 young guys. It was awesome. And they did a really good job, but put him with someone a little older. I think that's your ticket with Will Hobbs. If you put
that makes sense. See, I was thinking Mark Davis was going to turn, but I like your idea better. Okay. I thinking Mark Davis was going to turn and go back to join the Don Callis family and go back to Kyle Fletcher. But I like the idea of him teaming with Hobbs. That would be fun.
That would be very fun.
Hobbs is awesome, and he does need something. A tag team would be really cool for him.
And I honestly think the unpopular opinion, because I know a lot of people were not too happy with Private Party winning the tag belts. I think they deserved it. But the unpopular opinion is I think the tag division is now like officially back on track.
It's getting. I wouldn't say, I don't know if it's back on track, but it's getting there. It's better than it's been in a while.
Well, I was going to get with the Kings of the Black Throne beating FTR. I 1000% was like, oh, okay, FTR is obviously winning this.
Right. Yeah, that surprised me.
Same. And I was like, okay, throw us a little curveball, and you basically have you have the Outrunners, Kings of the Black Throne, and Private Party so far, and you're either going
LFI, who else?
And Acclaimed. Right. They wrestle Saturday. So like you figure you're going to have a big time tag team match that's a 4-way that doesn't involve the Bucks, the Lucha Bros, or FTR. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm glad, because the tag title scene. But see, the thing is, like, we've talked about this a million times before, the tag title scene is getting better now. But like, are there even trios titles anymore? Like, it's
good point.
It's weird that you could only have one. Like, the tag titles can be hot, and then you ignore the trios titles, and the trios titles and then like they do kind of take away from each, and I'm fine with that. Like, Mox's guys could just hold the trios titles hostage for a while, and we can focus on the tag division, and that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I just think that they do kind of hurt one another.
I wouldn't honestly mind, and I again, another unpopular opinion, I wouldn't mind having the tag titles and trios titles just like a split between the shows. If the tag titles are on Dynamite, put the trios titles on
Collision,
and then keep it that way. And then, after so long, flip them, once a year, flip them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Just because, you said,
they could do that with the other titles too. They could do that with the international title and the TNT title, have them be on separate shows.
Yeah. Well, because the TNT title is on TBS. I was like, it's the same people, it's the same network. I was like, hold on. So that I'm sorry, I wanted to throw in my 2 cents on the.
No, that would make sense. Yeah.
On the tag division.
I do like the tag division. It's getting some, and like, I make fun of the Young Bucks, but the Young Bucks are a good tag team. Like, they are.
Totally.
They're talented. They're like, there's no problem with them in the ring. But they did kind of kill it with their winning the belts. Like, I get why they won the belts and never defended them. Like, it worked for their characters, but it also kind of killed things. So
yeah, I agree.
And them and FTR, like, they're both great, but like, I don't need to see another Young Bucks FTR match for a while.
Yeah,
they've just done it a lot.
Let that set and recook it. Start over, and then a year from now, give us the Bucks and FTR.
Yeah, like, if they are completely separated from each other for a year and then end up in a thing together, like, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, like, maybe have just like how there's a 4-way in this, have them both in that, and that's the first time they'd be, they're in the ring together, but they're not in the ring together, and then have that start.
Up in the ring together, people would like go nuts. Yeah,
people would go bananas. Well, we know we talked about the C2 a little bit earlier. We know that the C2 starts in 2 weeks. As we said, we're both excited. We don't have to stay on this long. Do you think they're going to add anything to it this year?
No, I hope they don't. I think they might, but I hope they don't, because adding, like, it was great last year, but adding in all the titles thing was kind of weird. I don't think they needed to do that. I get that. I get why they did it, because it was the first one and they wanted to make it a big deal. So I understand. But now it's established as a big deal. Like, every AEW fan that I've ever seen or heard from is excited for this. So I don't think they need to add anything to it. They just need to make it this. They need to one thing they need to do is they need to put, how many people are in it? 16?
16.
Yeah. They need to put at least half of them big names. like Hangman, Swerve, people like
that.
that.
Oh, okay.
And then the other half can be younger, up and coming type guys. But I think half of it needs to be big names so that it's like, oh, this is the thing everybody wants to be in. Like take it a step further and be like, you have to qualify for it or something, right? Like make it make it like a big, like this is the tournament everyone wants to be in. This is such a big deal. This is basically like a world title because it's so important and it makes you so legitimate. Like I think, and then like the big names don't have to win, but it would be an even bigger deal if know Hangman and Swerve and Okada and whoever in it, and then Sammy Guevara or Hook wins it or something. Like that would be a huge deal for them. But I love the C2.
Yeah, me too.
And it's the perfect time for it. It's the end of the year just to like have some like just I think it was the What Culture podcast was saying that the cool thing about the C2 is, I'll watch Collision when the C2 comes on. Like I will. Like I don't watch Collision very much now, but I will watch it when the C2 comes on. But they were saying the cool thing about the C2 is, there's going to be 3 or 4 every show, just like awesome wrestling matches. Yeah. Like just 3 or 4 shows, they're going to be awesome. They're going to have a storyline to them, and they're just going to be good matches, and they're going to mean something. And
I cannot wait.
It's going to be so fun.
It is.
And that kind of solves a lot of AEW's problems too, right? It books itself. It makes you care about the matches. It kind of, what's going to happen if you're buying tickets for Dynamite. Who's in the Dynamite League, and you don't know which matches you're going to see, but who's going to be there. So that solves a lot of those problems too.
I'm so excited.
It'll be fun. I love it.
Same. Again,
and it's going to reestablish Okada as like main event Okada, which I've been waiting for.
Also true. Again, we talked about the Hurt Syndicate earlier, but we're gonna do a little deep dive. As I said, this is my favorite angle right now. Like, not only are they cool, but like they just get it.
And it's unpredictable. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Yes. Did you happen to watch the YouTube interview with Renee?
No, I haven't yet. I've been meaning to, but I haven't.
It's very good, and they go in depth on basically saying, without spoilers, that, thank goodness that AEW exists, because they were told that they were going to be split and never together again. Like, it was going to be totally over. And they felt that was the wrong choice. And
yeah, that was a weird scenario. I didn't watch the interview, but I've read a different interview with Bobby Lashley, and he basically said like they formed it during the pandemic because they needed something, and not everyone was there, right? Some wrestlers weren't wrestling during the pandemic, which is perfectly acceptable. Like if you don't want to wrestle during a pandemic, you shouldn't have to. But like, so they were there, so they're like, I'll put them together in a group, let them see what they do. And then everybody else came back, and they were just kind of like, okay, we're done with this, and just broke it up.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, but we made something that was cool, and you just like kind of killed it. And yeah, they never really, I don't remember specifically, but I don't think they ever even had like a real ending. They kind of just
that's what MVP said. He said we weren't given any send off. It was just like 1 week we were here, and then the next minute we weren't. And they felt that was the wrong thing to do, and they banded together. And it's really good interview. You should definitely watch it. The match on Dynamite that Swerve versus Lio Rush. I mean, Lio still has the Hurt Syndicate card.
I have a theory. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, the 3 people with the cards left, because Swerve crumbled his up. He didn't want his. We have Lio Rush, Max Caster, and Mercedes.
Yeah. And
they say there's only going to be 4. I mean, they do say that in the Renee interview. So one of those people has to be the 4th. So the Swerve Lio Rush match made a lot of sense. And I kind of want Lio to join, but I also kind of want Max Caster to join too.
I want it to be Lio Mercedes. I think Mercedes needs something, and her being in a group would be super cool. I think it's probably going to be Lio, and my thinking is, first of all, he has a history with Bobby Lashley,
right? And that was another, and that was big there too, correct?
Yeah,
like people loved that. Okay, so continue.
Except he was kind of like a manager for Lashley. Like, he wrestled a bit, but he was more of a manager for Lashley. So, but that was cool. But what I noticed on Dynamite, I don't know if you noticed, at the end of the show, when Swerve got beat up. Was it the end of the show? Whenever. Yeah. No, it wasn't the end of the show, but when Swerve got beat up at the end of the match and he was down at the ring and then the Hurt Syndicate walked away, Lio Rush was kind of just standing there on the outside, like just watching. They didn't go after him. He didn't try to stop it. He didn't try to attack Swerve. He didn't try to help. He was just kind of there, just like watching.
Okay.
And I think that's something. He was kind of just like, oh, I want to see what these guys can do. Oh, okay. Like he's just kind of checking it out. And it was on camera. Like they showed Swerve down on the ground, and then Lio Rush was like in the distance, kind of slightly out of focus, but he was clearly there for a reason. I think it's going to be him, and I think that's going to be really fun.
That he's on my radar for just because of everything you just said. Max Caster's on my radar because I think that would be like the one thing that we always say, like Max needs something else. Like, yeah, the raps are like nobody really cares anymore. Yeah, they're a little over the top and like I don't know.
Put him in to be edgy.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. Put him in a suit and just have him shut his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, and MVP can talk for him. Yeah.
Yeah. And that would like again, not that his mouth is bad. Like he can talk, but if somebody known to talk, if all of a sudden they shut up, that makes you pay attention.
And then when he did talk, whenever he did, it would be a big deal.
Right. So I don't know. I think it would be good for Max, but then I would feel bad for Bowens.
Yeah, I'm torn on that one because the Acclaimed they've fallen off, right? Like they were super over and they're not right now. And that's fine. Like people get over and then fall, like that happens all the time in wrestling. Totally. So that's not a huge deal. But like, yeah, this is kind of like a turning point for them. Did they change their stick a little bit and be a little different and get over again? Or do they break up? And it's hard because if they break up, are they both going to be successful?
Right.
It's hard to say. There's very few tag teams where they break up and both guys do fine, especially because they weren't always a tag team, but like in AEW, they've always been a tag team. So I don't know. I feel like Bowens, I don't know what he would do.
Unless
he's a good wrestler, he's a good personality. Like I'm not saying he's doing badly.
Exactly. That's what I said. I feel bad for
Bowens. When best friends broke up, like I know Chuck Taylor's hurt, but when they broke up, if they both didn't get hurt and everything, like that's another team where you're just like, oh, how are they both going to get over separately from this team?
Correct.
And it's the same thing with the Acclaim. Like, how are they both going to get over separately from the team? It's like Max Caster would have an immediate gimmick to go into with the Hurt Syndicate. And I mean, Bowens would probably have a feud with him. But then after that, I don't know what he would do.
Unless AEW throws the curveball that we just totally ignored and Bowens cashes the card in.
Yeah, I could see that too.
And then just have Max be the character that Max is. Like,
yeah, and Max works better as like an underdog type character. He's a bit smaller. He like just seems less physically imposing.
True.
I could see Bowens turning on him and being like, you got too soft or whatever, and turning on him. And then Max would work as like the, kind of
the
up yours kind of underdog. Yeah, like, you're gonna beat me down, but I'm gonna keep coming back. Yeah, that might be better.
And oh man, that just made me happy because we thought of a solution to a situation that doesn't
exist. Yeah, that would work better. Yeah. What I wanted to say is one of the things I love about the Hurt Syndicate is when they came in, I don't know what you were thinking, but my thoughts were, oh, this is going to be like a vehicle for Bobby Lashley. Like MVP is going to cut the promos for him, and Shelton Benjamin's going to be like the guy who gets beat up, and then once you beat Shelton Benjamin, you get to fight Bobby Lashley. Like I figured that's how it was going to be. Yeah. But they've really made Shelton like an equal. Like they pumped Shelton so high, and he should be. Like he's a great wrestler. But they've pumped him up so much so that like he's not like the lower guy in the group. They're both just like dominant guys, and it's been really cool.
Speaking of Rampage, apparently Shelton Benjamin and Commander had like a potentially a match of the year match on Rampage. Yeah, so
I think it might be Collision. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because Collision's taped this week. But yeah, I've heard that it's an incredible match. So I mean, Shelton Benjamin is awesome. And I love that he's getting he's always kind of been the second fiddle in a group, right? He was in Team Angle, but he wasn't Kurt Angle, and then like he's always been like.
Oh, so I didn't even realize he was in Team Angle.
Yeah, he's always been like not the star in a group. So like the fact that they're pushing him as like an equal to Bobby Lashley now is really cool.
That is so awesome.
I love these guys. They're great.
They're very great. And it's other than Tony Storm, like they're the first ones to, well, Tony Storm just left, but like they're taking their exact gimmick and, you know, when she came in, she had a little eye patch, or not eye patch, a little, you know, she was the same Tony Storm, but she quit. But kind of like they're the first ones to take their gimmick and just be the same thing.
And they showed up as a group, which is really cool.
And they showed up as a group, right? Oh, and I love the way they did it. Like, real quick, let's get into that. Like, I like how, well, like they even did it with Mercedes. Like Mercedes was signed, they said what, like 2-3 months before she debuted.
Yeah.
Like Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley signing the same time as MVP, but MVP coming in first.
Yeah.
And then Shelton comes in, and then you get Bobby. Like, yeah, they could have pulled the curtain back and had them all come out at one time, but doing it that way was so much cooler.
And I loved it because MVP showed up with no indication. Like he didn't on screen indicate that anyone was coming with him. Right? He just showed up being like, I'm here to put together a great team, and started handing out business cards. And if you didn't know anything about backstage stuff, you're just like, oh, MVP's here trying to get new people for a new stable. But if you knew, oh, Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley are also left WWE, then you're like, oh, they're coming. Now, when are they coming?
Yeah.
It was so good. This angle's incredible.
It is. Well, last angle of the show, which is also another incredible angle. Mox and the Death Riders. Are we just calling them the Death?
I think they're just calling the Death Riders now. Yeah.
Is it John Moxley? The Death. Okay. So,
they refer to them on the show as like John Moxley and his Death Riders or something. Like I don't know if Moxley is a Death Rider or not. I'm not sure, but
exactly. I don't know either. We need to find this stuff out.
When they said, I understand when they said taking over the Superstation, they meant it like they were going to come up with a better way to say he's going to cut a promo. Like that's what they were doing.
Yeah. Like if they could redo that, I would call ahead and be like, okay, all you have to do is watch the DX invasion of WCW. That's how you take something over. Right. Like you don't back to it 3 or 4 times.
You don't hit JD Drake twice with a chair and then just go to the ring and cut a promo. Even like they tried to sell it. Like a Calvin was like, they're making a cameraman get in the ring. And I'm like, every promo a cameraman gets in the ring. This is just a thing that you do in promos. Like when they said take over the Superstation, I thought it was going to be randomly at some point in the night they were going to grab a camera from somebody and just like start doing whatever, not just like do what every single wrestler has ever done. He had a theme song, they walked down to the ring as a group, they got in the ring, they picked up a microphone, they just cut a promo. That's all that was. That was just cutting a promo. Like that was not taking over anything. I really wanted to come up with a better way than just to say John Moxley will speak. I get it. But it set your expectations so high, and then it was like, oh, they're just cutting an in-ring promo. I see. And the promo was fine, but like, don't hype it up like that.
The one thing with this angle that I want to know is why is the title in this stupid briefcase, and why is the briefcase now handcuffed to Marina Shafir? Like, why did we add handcuffs to the briefcase?
I didn't even notice that they were handcuffs, but now that I think about it, there were. Yeah,
she's now handcuffed. Like, is it that like? And obviously the keys are around her neck, so why? Like, why go through all that? That's the only thing that bothers me. I want to know, is that really the title, and why is it locked up?
The thing is, I heard someone else say this, and I kind of agree with it. The basis of the angle is good. Like, I like the basis of the angle. I do. Like, Mox is upset that, like, you know, wrestlers got too soft and he's going to be tougher and make everybody tougher and kind of mold the company in his image. I like that idea. But it seems like some of the details they kind of just make up as they go.
Yeah.
Like that Mox is like, it's not your company anymore, but like, why not? It just still is. Like they do a couple things that like it sounds cool or it looks cool, and then they don't have a reason for it, like putting the title in a briefcase. Or
Yeah.
first it was in a bag when like
yeah.
It's like a couple things that like they just think sound cool or look cool and they add it in, but there's no reason for it. Like that's a little weird.
Yeah. It's just it's bugging me. Like
it has. You're right. That's what it is. Because this angle, something about it bugs me. Like it's like 80% good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's just like something is off with it, and that's probably it. Like there's a couple things that just don't make sense.
And if it comes like full circle and we find out in a couple weeks, like, oh, okay, yeah, that all made sense in the long run. But like right now, I'm a little like, okay, like I'm in, but like, excuse the pun, I'm not all in.
Yeah. My only other issue, and it's a weird issue, and I mean they've toned it back now. The first couple weeks bothered me because it was just like, we're gonna take over the whole company and beat up everybody, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. And the only people who cared were like Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy, and then like a bunch of like undercard guys. And that was weird. Because that like Marina Shafir is just going around beating people up. Not a single woman on the roster is like, hey, maybe I should do something. Like not one. Like it's just like. But now they've kind of toned it down, and now it's not like a we're going to take over the company thing anymore. To me, in my eyes at least, it seems more like Mox is just mad and wants to like hurt people, and that fits better. That's more of Mox being like, I want everyone to be tougher, and I'm just going to make everyone tougher. Though I guess you could say that this was like it might make sense because it could just be Mox being a hypocrite. Because in his promo, he said, you know, basically, I want everyone to be tougher, I want everyone to be stronger. You know, everyone's too soft, everyone's too weak. And then Orange Cassidy, you started off as the guy with his hands in his pockets who didn't care about anything. And now you care, and now you're getting tougher, and now you're getting stronger. So I'm going to have to hurt you. But like, isn't what he wanted was Orange Cassidy to get stronger?
Right.
Like, isn't that what he's asking for? So I think that it's supposed to be Mox is just a hypocrite, and he doesn't actually want to help. He just wants to beat people up, and he's just saying that he wants to make people stronger as an excuse to beat people up.
Makes sense.
But if that's not it, like,
yeah,
isn't that what he wants? Like Orange Cassidy rising up and like getting stronger and taking him on. Shouldn't that make him happy in theory? Right? Like, I don't know.
Right. Now, the only other vague thing that Mox said is he ended with where was it? Oh, he ended with the only thing we don't want to do is abandon all hope or something like that. But he ended with abandon all hope. Do you think that was a call to something?
I don't know. Because like I said, I think a lot of this, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that there's a reason for all these things. And it'll make sense later. But I do think that there's a part. Wasn't he like quoting a Bible verse at one point? Like weeks ago?
Yeah. He did something. It was odd. It was very not Mox.
Like, I don't know if this is all going to make sense or if he just thinks these things sound cool. So he's going to say them and do them, and they don't actually mean anything. And I don't know which one it is right now.
Same. Yeah. Same. Do you think any of this involves Sami Callihan?
I don't know. I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah. But, I mean, considering they were the Death Riders. That was their tag team name.
Yeah. I don't know. And if Sami Callihan showed up, like, I know of Sami Callihan, but I don't know if I would recognize him if he showed up somewhere.
I mean, I would if it was during like a Mox segment, but like if he came like before the rest of the Death Riders, I'd be like, who the hell is that?
Yeah, so I feel like that could be a potential weird situation where like he shows up and like, you know, 10% of the audience is like, that's Sami Callihan. Everyone else is like, who? Who's Sami Callihan? Oh yeah, I've heard of him. Like that could be a little
Carter.
Yeah. Now, what do you think of? I love what Orange Cassidy's doing. I think Orange Cassidy's doing a great job with this. He's doing a really good job. I like that he also has toned it down from the I'm here to defend how great AEW is more to like you beat up my friend and you embarrassed me and I'm mad about that. Like that makes more sense to me. I like that angle better. I think he's doing a great job with this. What do you think of how Darby's going? because it seems to me like Darby was supposed to be the Sting of this, right? Like he's the vengeful guy who's going to get revenge, but like he just gets beat up every week.
Yeah, he's like the anti-Sting. Like
Sting would come in and save take out 10 guys with a baseball bat, right? Darby shows up and just like gets clobbered like every week.
Darby shows up and gets beat by 10 guys.
Yeah, it's like thrown into a wall or something.
Yeah. What real quick, whenever I can't think of his name, Claudio. Whenever Claudio did the giant swing into the steel door.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Like, yeah, Darby, man. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He's like the anti-Sting. But I see what they were trying to do. But yeah, like I don't know where he fits in because he just gets destroyed until it's time to wrestle a match. Then he gets destroyed during the match, but somehow almost always wins. Not always wins, but almost wins.
I hope where they're going with this is that he's mad what happened to Danielson, and he's mad that he gave up his title shot, and he should be the one with the belt, and he's just trying everything. And then this is me fantasy booking. What I hope is like at some show, maybe like Revolution or something, Sting is there, and Sting talks to him, like you see Sting take him backstage or something, and they go into a room and talk. And like what Sting tells him is like how to get these guys. Just showing up and getting your ass kicked every week is not what you're good. This is what you're going to. Sting kind of teaches them. You know, this is how I like faced something like this before.
Yeah, be more calculated. Just
be more calculating. Yeah. Don't just jump off a wall and like no, you have to like attack them from behind. You have to like distract them somehow with something. Like I hope that's what he does. That would be cool.
That would be super cool. I'm so happy he signed that Legends deal.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome.
That is.
So this angle, I'm still like, it's like I said, it's 80% good. And I hope that all the weird little stuff makes sense. I like how they kind of pivoted from that we're going to show the heart of AEW. Like, I don't need any more storylines about that. I don't. This is a personal angle where Mox wants to fight people and hurt people. He tried to kill Bryan Danielson. He took Darby. He killed Darby's twice. Yeah, he took Darby's title shot. He, broke Chuck Taylor's neck, and now Orange is next. Like that's the story, and I like that a lot better.
And that all happened since August,
right? But like I like that a lot better. I think that's a better angle.
Yeah. Wow, everything's awesome right now.
It is. This Dynamite was really good.
It was.
I enjoyed it a lot. I had something I wanted to say now. I forgot what it was. Anyway, continue.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I was going to say something about Mox. I don't remember what it was now. But anyway, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, since we don't have any final thoughts, so thank you everybody for tuning in this week.
How good does Full Gear look, by the way?
Full Gear looks off the charts good. Next week will be our Full Gear preview show. So if you're new here, we do reviews every month, and I'm usually really bad at it. Biddy usually wins, but yeah, that's usually how it goes. But yeah, we do pay-per-view picks. You can play along if you would like. We are at Elite City Pod on all social media, as we said at the beginning. Thank you for everybody for listening,
and thanks for anyone who gave us questions. That was cool.
Yeah,
I like
thank you.
Questions.
Yeah, keep the questions coming. Yes, please keep the questions coming. Keep interacting. Like I said, Blue Sky's popping. That's where we're at. So until next week, later.